All right, shalom, shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing and many salutations unto you elect across the four winds of this earth, pushing this word in sincerity and in truth. And shalom to you believers that are out there that do believe in the words of our testimony, which consists of you men, women, and children. Honor Brother Sha'ar from the Great Millstone Dallas camp, coming at you all with another quick lesson through the Spirit. And Lord's willing, this lesson here is edifying. And this lesson here is going to be a response to the priest out there in London, the priest Shakal. And he did a lesson a few days ago just touching up on bodily ailments. You know, his thumbnail in this lesson is actually pretty funny. It goes back to this show we used to watch when we were children called Ed, Edd n Eddy. And there was this one character named Johnny. You know, he was the one that walked around with that piece of wood called plank. You know, with that one episode, he was popping all his bones and everybody was getting annoyed. And it was like, what the heck is wrong with this dude? Yeah, I remember that episode, and it's funny, you know, but I definitely have understanding on why that brother had that as his thumbnail, man. You know what I'm saying? Because us being in this truth, being young men, you know, there's you know, certain of us might not deal with fleshly ailments and diseases like other people. Certain brothers go through different mental plagues. Certain of them go through plagues within relationships, whatever the case is. You know, but certain of us as well go through bodily plagues and different bodily ailments. And when you listen to that brother's lesson, he's talking about how, you know, he can click or pop every joint in his body, and he's only 24 years old. You know, and I understand exactly where that brother's coming from. I'm the same way. You know, there's certain times I'll pop a joint in my body, and one of the brothers will look and make a little joke like, dang, man, shoot, I hope you ain't finna give up the ghost, saying it jokingly, you know, because of those different pops. And it's like, man, being in this truth, it's like it ages your body. It's like it ages your body. You know, versus you got people that are in the world that can eat shrimp tacos, you know, drink tubs of lard. You know, I remember Key and Peele had a little skit they did one time clowning Jake's soul food restaurants and how bad their diets are. But you got Jakes. When we say Jakes, talking about you Israelites, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who can abuse yourselves, abuse your diets, eat all manner of BS, you know, and you don't really got to deal with a lot of things that think about Jake, they get it at older ages, you know, but as young, they can eat hog mogs, they can eat chitlins, they can do all this and be fine, you know, have a full head of hair, a full beard on their face. You know, we try to do as best as we can to be righteous, and our bodies just continually fail us. And ultimately, the reason being is because we're being trained more and more to hate this flesh. Versus Jake in the world, they don't hate this flesh. They love their lives. You know, hey, the scriptures say, you know, we're supposed to hate our lives. All right? We ain't supposed to love our lives in this world. We're supposed to hate our lives. We're supposed to hate this flesh. And as the scriptures considered it, these are chains of darkness that we were wrapped in. So it makes all the more sense that our bodies are breaking down in the way they are, because ultimately we're not of this world. We're not part of this world. And this world is going to fight against you in different ways, forms, and fashions. When you tug away from your flesh and get more in tune with the spirit, your body, your flesh tends to call out and scream out for attention. All right. And certain ways that it does that is it breaks down. It breaks down because your flesh is screaming out for attention, and you're not giving your flesh that attention. But what you're doing is you're refraining from it. And your body screams out, it cries out, pay attention to me, look at me. You know, I understand that, brother, man. We're not even older men. And it's times where, I mean, you know, you do the best you can. You make smoothies every day. You go on different detoxes, different cleanses. And it helps. Don't get me wrong. It helps, you know. But it's not as in its full state, because you got this devil. You got Esau that's over everything. Remember Cain. For those of y'all who don't know, all right, Cain was over tilling of the land. Cain was over the tilling of the land while Abel was over the sheep. And the Most High found Abel's sacrifice more worthy than Cain's sacrifice. All right. And after Cain had slain his brother, the Lord had cursed the ground that Cain tilled. All right. And that still goes to a fruition today, because through reincarnation, Esau is Cain. Esau is Cain. So this earth is cursed. The fruit that grows out of it isn't to its strength. The stuff that we eat is sprayed with pesticides and different things. So it's like, man, to a degree, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Now, obviously, not saying, oh, forget the, because one thing we can say in the scriptures say, you know, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. All right, it's all vanity at the end of the day. But one thing, all right, that the smoothies and the veggies and all that does aid you with is building up a disciplinary mindset. All right. If you make smoothies every day and you make sure that you keep your diet in check to the best of your ability, it builds discipline in your mind and you are using wisdom. So it does strengthen you. It does strengthen you. All right. But on the contrary end, those different veggies don't have the strength that they have, and our bodies are still through. So our best bet and our only bet, obviously, first and foremost, is trusting in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai and understanding that what we're going through is nothing but just chastisement. And it's in transit right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm just on the road, so I'm just going to do the best of my ability to quote scriptures, and if the Spirit has it where I can read a few of them, I would love to. All right, but the Apostle Paul talks about it in Romans 7th chapter, where it says, "O wretched man am I, who shall deliver me from this bodily flesh?" And that's loosely paraphrased, because Paul very well understood that these vessels that we're wrapped in are corrupt. Okay, they're corrupt, and it's times when you do the best that you can in your diet, you go on your cleanses, you do what you can do, and you feel good, but right when you end it, your body goes back to shit. You know, you feel arthritis in your joints and your neck, and you ain't even 30 years old yet. You know, and then you got Seymour from up the block. You got Seymour from down the street, who does pork roasts. You know, he eats pork for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Makes smoothies and throws in a cube of lard in it. You know, and Seymour chilling. You know, that's because Seymour ain't dealing with the afflictions and the straits that a man of the Lord has to deal with, and that's part of it, man. That's why I said earlier, when you in this truth, it's like your body is aging. You know, it's like your body's aging at a rapid rate. You know, and it's not like that with all of us. You know, there's certain brothers that's strong as oxes, but they're dealing with their own different afflictions and infirmities and such. But what I'm getting at is, it makes sense, man, when the scriptures say, when thou comest to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. And that is important. That's true. All right, because you're gonna deal with all type of manner of different things once you're in this truth and you get deeper in this knowledge. That's why the scriptures say, with much knowledge cometh what? Much sorrow. All right, because you have more understanding on who's supposed to be in power, why this devil is in power, why you're in this low state as a person, and when you get afflicted, you know why. So you ain't gonna be the happiest camper in this truth. Now, obviously, of course, you know, you're gonna have joy in Yahweh Shai, especially when you're around the brethren, like-minded men, you're in the spirit, doing your lessons, finding out precepts, finding out the secrets of the scriptures and sharing it with one another, you know, laughing at each other's infirmities. You know, that brings joy. Brings a lot of joy. But ultimately, in a nutshell, being in this truth, understanding what you're going through, you ain't gonna be the happiest camper. All right, because you got things that you're dealing with in your mind, in your flesh, whatever it is. And even the Apostle Paul said this in 2 Corinthians, I believe it's in the 12th chapter. All right, it's either 2 Corinthians chapter 7 or 2 Corinthians chapter 12. All right, but he says, least I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of revelation. There have given me, there Satan. Matter of fact, I'm going to read it. I'd rather just read it than quote it. And this is a very comforting scripture, I know to myself, because he talks about through the abundance of revelations. And every single last one of us, all right, starting with the prophets, starting with us prophets, all right, we've received an abundance of revelations. We've received the overall general understanding of why. Okay, We have the overall general understanding of why. And that's a very heavy portion to carry. The why what's going on, why this is happening in your flesh, why this is happening in the world. It's a very heavy burden to lay with, because you have the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You know. Okay? And that's an abundant revelation right there, because that word revelation means to be revealed, or to reveal. And the Lord hath revealed unto us why. We literally have the answer to life itself. Okay? But that comes with a price. That comes with a price. And that price is nothing negative, because we look for a kingdom at the end of the day. Yeah, we catch bodily affliction. Yeah, we catch hell within our flesh. All right, but we understand that, we even understand why on that. And we know that these are the things that we can glory in. Like the Apostle Paul said, if I have anything to glory, I glory in my infirmities. All right, because enduring this, having that long suffering and enduring that patience, you are going to receive the kingdom and be a first fruit of it. All right. Having that endurance is going to allow you to remain. It's going to allow you to remain. And that's a beautiful thing. The hard part is carrying that weight. Okay. But I believe it's 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. This is 2 Corinthians. I'm going to start at verse 1 and I'm going to jump to verse 7. So this is 2 Corinthians 12 and 1. It says, "It is not expedient for me doubtless to glory. I will come to visions and revelations of the Lord." Jumping down to verse 7 says, "And least," and that word least means for fear that. Okay? So, and for fear that I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of revelations. All right? Because the thing about it is, you receive the understanding, you know the why, but now you got to endure temptation. That's why the scriptures say, and I'm going to quote it again, if thou comest to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. All right? So if you ain't going through that temptation, you ain't been through nothing. And then you don't really got too much to fight. You don't got really too much to endure. Like when you think of Job, for example. All right? Job had status. He had employees. He had a business that not only benefited his family, but benefited the people that were around him, because the people that were around him gained off of Job's substance. So Job was a very important figure in his village. Okay, he had an estate, and when you look at it, when the Lord allowed Satan to tempt Job, all right, Job was catching hell, but when Satan had came to the Lord, Satan brought this to the Lord's attention, which the Lord already knew. But Satan pretty much said, "Does Job fear the Lord for naught? Hast thou not put a hedge of protection around Job?" All right, and when he said, "Does Job fear the Lord for naught?" he's pretty much saying Job ain't been through nothing. Yeah, Job's received all these different things, but what has he actually been through to really test his integrity? And that's what Satan was pretty much saying. So you look at yourself as in the status of Job, man. You're going to go through particular things, every single last one of us, especially if you've received an abundance of revelation, especially if you've received this top shelf knowledge that actually comes from the heavens. This knowledge we got comes from the heavens. So that's why I said earlier, it's a price that you got to pay with being able to obtain this knowledge. And a lot of brothers have to deal with that affliction being in their flesh. All right? When you tempted in your flesh, when you're catching hell in your flesh, by default, it's going to affect your mind. It's going to affect a lot of things, because you have certain thoughts like, man, am I dying? And that's when it first happens. And the reason why I'm saying this, because I know there was a point where I was dealing with something heavy. And those were thoughts that I had. And obviously, I'm still here through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And then you think of it like, okay, you know what, it's not that bad. These are the things that we got to go through in order to receive that crown. And scriptures like this are very much comforting. Hold on one sec. I'm about to enter into my job real quick. Hold on one sec. Okay, well, the light is red. I can wait. But scriptures like this are very comforting, and I know it helped me out abundantly. Okay, so back in 2 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter, the 12th chapter, the 7th verse, It says, "And least I should be exalted above measure." Shalakia, not a light screen. Hold on. The water for the patience. Again, this is in the transit. I'm on my way to the job right now. But it says, "And least or for fear I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of revelations." And Paul had an abundance of revelations. He actually supped with Yahweh Shai, man. and that's something that a lot of the disciples didn't even have the opportunity. Obviously, you have the 11, all right? Even Matthias, Matthias knew Yahweh Shai, but he didn't have that overall close relationship as the rest of the 11 did. Now, Judas was around, but he was a nigga, all right? And obviously, we know what happened to him. Okay, so Matthias got added on, and then you had the rest of them. Well, certain of them met Yahweh Shai, all right? Certain of them followed Yahweh Shai, and certain of them came afterwards. But Paul never met Yahweh Shai in the flesh. Yahweh Shai visited Paul as he was Yahweh Shai, as he was exalted, all right? And not only that, but he supped with Paul and actually taught Paul personally. Okay, so you can imagine the weight that Paul was carrying on why he's expounding on such a matter when you read this here in 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. So it says, "And least I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of revelation. There was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan, to buffet me." And that word buffet means to strike. "Least I should be exalted above measure." So Paul was dealing with particular things in his flesh. There's certain of us that deal with particular things in our flesh, and we like, what the hell? Where did this come from? And it makes all the much more sense why the Apostle Peter said, "Thinking not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is meant to try you." All right, it makes a lot more sense when you look at it within that way, because there's strange things, very strange things that can happen to you. Things like, what in the world? Certain days you'll wake up, feel like you got punched in the mouth, knowing dang well you ain't been touched by nobody. You know, you've been punched in the eye, your eye swollen, don't know what it is. You know, like the brother Shakal said, your back cracks in different ways, and you know what I'm saying? A bunch of different things. When you continue, it says, "For this thing I besought the Lord thrice," and that word means beg. And who knows what Paul did to beseech the Lord? Who knows if he fasted for 3 days, if he was heavy in prayer for 3 days, whatever it is, but he was heavy in the spirit trying to find those answers. Okay? That it might depart from me. And it be like that. Certain times you so heavy in the spirit and so vexed, you try to do as much as you can to ask the Lord why and ask the Lord to depart it from you. But then you understand it's just a burden that you got to carry. All right. And that's a burden of being a servant of the Lord. When you read those different prophets, it always talks about the burden of this man, the burden of the prophet, the burden of Amos, whatever it is. All right. And that burden ultimately just goes into weight. So there's a different type of weight that you're going to have to carry when you get converted into this truth. All right. And when you receive this abundance of revelations, there's a price. All right. There's a price to be paid. Okay. And when you endure through that, all right, you're likened as that gold trod in the fire. Verse 9 says, "And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." And that's how we made strong. You feel like you're weak. Certain times you feel like, am I going to die? Certain times you feel like you don't even want to be here in the flesh no more. Okay? But you being made strong, stronger than you even could understand, because now you're like, you know what? I can bear this. Okay, there's a different level to this now. I'm being strengthened in different areas that I wasn't strengthened in before. It says, "Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in mine infirmities, that the power of Yahweh Shai may rest upon me." All right, so glory in those infirmities. That way the power of Yahweh Shai can rest upon you. Remember, Yahweh Shai was a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. When you go into that word sorrows, it means bitterness. When you go into grief, it means diseased and ill. Okay, so don't think of it as the Lord killing you. Don't think of it as, man, am I dying? Think of it as, you know what? It's just a burden that I got to carry. And this is the way for the Lord to find me accepted in his sight. You know, and pray that the Most High allows you to be able to endure that. All right? Because that's just what it is. Hey, it said it earlier. My grace is sufficient for thee. We lucky enough. We should be grateful enough that we ain't dead. That we got the Spirit of the Lord on us. So if we got to endure temptation, so be it. That's why it says in 2 Timothy chapter 2, to endure hardness as a good soldier. All right? As a soldier in a Mashiach is not going to be affected by the affairs of this life. Okay? So we're just being hardened. That's all that is, man. So I'm going to end it off on that. I believe I touched up on the point. Lord's willing, this lesson here was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing and many salutations unto you elect, pushing this word in sincerity and in truth. And shalom to you believers that are out there that believe in the words of our testimony. Shalom.